Whenever we talk of a technological shift, there are concerns. Even with mobile technology, there were concerns about privacy and security, and some actually continue. As far as cloud computing is concerned, and when businesses are going to be sharing their private confidential information with third-party service providers, how are you ensuring, and how are you as an industry ensuring that security is something that is not a concern?
Today, imagine a small business has a computer or a server in their office. There's probably some physical security. It's probably connected to some network. They may have some antivirus type of product on their PC or something like that. Now think about when they plug into the cloud what they have. They have a data center that's secured by high-end security professionals in a large infrastructure that's protected, in locations that are redundant and have lots of backups, etc. Secondly, the world's best engineers and security professionals have built all of the security models to protect information and make sure that it isn't shared or it isn't hacked into. Now that kind of talent would never be accessible to a small business normally. Now all of a sudden, by plugging into the cloud, they get the world's best security specialists and all of the expertise built into their data protection. And I think that's what cloud does.
Are your clients actually satisfied with this aspect of security? And also, I want you to comment on the point that Ashok had pointed out about the problem of plenty. And now there are multiple service providers. How does one make a judicious choice and go for the best cloud service that is going to be suitable for his business?
There's a need for simplicity. I think there's a need for clear use cases. There's a need for plug-and-play solutions that make it easy to work. So use the clusters, use the dialog with select few, and use that in a cascade fashion to take it beyond. I think that is the approach we need to take. So we need to go about it in waves. We need to start with the core, and then the adjacent ones will follow. But the ability, I think, to be able to touch all, we have to have simpler products because they have to be able to embrace it with elegance, with simplicity, plug and play. That's important. Industry needs to do a better job in communicating the robustness of the underlying infrastructure, in communicating the fact that they're moving on to a much superior solution, in allaying all the fears that exist. And I think a lot of education certainly needs to be done in this context.
What are the concerns from an investor's point of view as far as cloud computing is concerned? I know you mentioned that there is a need for creating more awareness, and that is something that all the panelists actually agree with. But what beyond that?
SMEs are looking for growth. They're looking for the opportunity to participate in the change that's taking place. One great example we've seen is just in transportation. The advent of an Uber and an Ola, for example, have now connected a whole fragmented industry of taxi drivers into the cloud where they're getting passengers and they're able to generate more revenue for themselves. So I'm not necessarily advocating that we need to sell door to door. I actually think that the best solutions that will get adopted the most quickly will be the ones that add the most immediate value to a given SME's pain point. I think the underlying question of security and safety are all valid and important and need to continue to get communicated. However, if I'm growing my revenues and my business is increasing, I tend to deal with some flexibility on these other items until I hit a problem.
What do you feel is required to standardize cloud computing services for small and medium business enterprises?
I'm a big believer if there is a menu of 5 or 6 simple things that people can buy, which takes away complexity, which works in a simpler fashion, that kind of standardization is what is needed.
Sandeep, do you feel that standardization is going to help as an investor when you are looking to put in your money?
Today, when I look at problems or when we look at opportunities, we don't say, hey, have you solved the entire value chain? Have you made it all work effectively? Because that's a gargantuan task, and it's something that is a hard sale to make. If you can say, look, I'll simply drive revenue to you, and by driving revenue to you, then over time I'll integrate with other guys that do this, I think you'll get there iteratively. So I come back to the idea that solve the biggest pain. If you can find the biggest pain for a given industry, if the auto industry has X pain and the retail industry has Y pain and the apparel industry has another pain, then if you solve that pain clearly and fully, and ensure that you're doing it in a differentiated manner, simplify the problem down to a simple decision, boom, I decide to buy that application, and I'll iterate over time.
Well, Mitul, how are you going to ease this pain of standardization, of problem of plenty, of ensuring that people actually understand what they're buying?
Simplification of the product, simplification of the messaging, and in the end, simplification of usage. And I think this is what cloud is designed to do. And while we go out there, we need to make sure that the customers or prospective SMBs really understand how can technology be used. And the best way to do it is to show them. I think simplification is coming about in big part, because of mobility. The minute we've taken the need for applications to run on a large screen with lots of keyboards down to someone who needs to touch it on a small screen, you begin the process of simplifying it. And I think the point is making sure that we have very simple mobile-based apps as well as tablet-based apps or even PC-based apps available. And I think the ecosystem will build this. Another way simplification is happening right now is that we don't have large, giant corporations building complex software anymore for small businesses. There'll be individuals, sometimes working in their home offices, building it, and they can't build complex tools. And so that actually helps create more and more simple products.
Well, if I were an SMB, I'd be prompted to ask you, would it replace the need for having a hardware? Or would I continue to require a hardware device, and this would just be supplemented by some third-party server providing me with softwares?
The most important thing, first of all, is obviously the ability to access technology at a much cheaper pace cheaper point than before. So think about it, the barrier to the smallest business, those unorganized businesses that Neeraj talked about in the past, was that they had to put out a great deal of money for hardware, for software. And that's getting eliminated now. They can use a low-cost tablet or a telephone. They can pay monthly to get access to almost any type of service. So the barrier to entry for use of IT is the first and most important benefit of cloud. I talked about the fact that someone had to go talk to them about the benefits of cloud. Well, the good news is once they know this, they don't have to go talk to them about every product anymore. They can go to a store, an online store, quickly see what they need, download it, and start using it. So I think cloud offers all of these benefits that just didn't exist a few years ago.
Small companies don't have IT managers. As a matter of fact, small companies have very few people working for them.
Right.
So to get them on board and train them, of course, is essential. Transiting from what you're doing to what has to be adopted to effectively use an IT solution. This takes time and effort and understanding also.
Well, let us ask the other man with the money, Sandeep. Did you buy Mitul's sales pitch?
As an investing industry and as consumers, we've been migrating more and more of our services at an increasing pace out of an owned environment into a hosted world. I'm a 100% believer that more of our services are migrating in that direction. And as a matter of fact, in India, I believe that you're going to skip phases. I remember when I first started working the internet, we used to go to the data centers, we used to pick up them. Moving their servers meant you went somewhere and moved your server. Today, moving your server means you get online and say, hey, can I provision a little bit more over here and can I shift this over there? You don't even have to see the servers. It's happened. It's happening and it's going to continue to grow. So as far as money goes, we're definitely investing behind these trends and behind these ideas.